Yosh Khan is an ocean adventurer. She's enjoys sailboat deliveries. She sailed along the entire coast, all the way down to Mexico, westward and beyond. She's logged thousands of miles on a wide array of boats. She's definitely a water person. Besides being a blue water sailor, she's a professional PADI MSDT open water scuba instructor and a wild swimmer. She has swum the Golden Gate Bridge swim and the swim from Alcatraz to the Aquatic Park South End rowing club. She's done that twice. And each of these swims is 1.5 miles. And she did that in 60-degree Fahrenheit, which is very cold water. While she's logged many miles at sea on passages, cruises, and deliveries, the 2023 Transpac Hawaii race aboard Good Trouble was her first major offshore race. She learned an incredible amount about boat racing strategy, sailing to polars, and using expedition software. Yosh, thanks so much for coming.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yosh. Thanks for being here. And I wanted to share my experience with you on Good Trouble, which is an Andrews 56 on my first Transpac from Los Angeles to Hawaii. As Deb mentioned, I've had lots of time at sea already as a scuba instructor, swimming in the ocean, and also doing lots of deliveries. I've been from Tahiti to Tonga, in Micronesia. I also did up and down California to Mexico. I've done 3 ha-has, and Grenada to South Carolina through the US Virgin Islands. And I also did a double hand with one other person on a very small Erickson 30 to Hawaii, which took 21 days from San Diego. So when Marie Rogers, who's on the Zoom call, invited me to participate, my first question, of course, was, how long do you think it's going to take? And she said, oh, probably like 10 or 12 days. And I was like, pardon me, 10 or 12 days. And, a lot of these voyages I've taken are, 2 to 4 weeks long. And so I couldn't actually fathom going that fast. And what was amazing is this program that Marie has put together is part of ORO, which is Offshore Racing Outreach, which is a performance program dedicated to bringing diversity into the sport of racing. And, in general, she does a great job of inclusive boating, just getting people of color on the water, because as we've heard, it's been a man's sport. It's hard for women to get on boats, and it's very hard for people of color, male or female, to get on boats as well. And so it's been a wonderful experience. We were also coached by J-World, which is out of San Diego and Mexico, and they do adventure charters. They do a lot of races, but they do a lot of clinics. And so this particular program was very unique to me because a lot of the racing I had done for Wet Wednesdays. I've participated in Women on the Water, Women at the Helm several times, the Linda Elias Memorial. So I've done a lot of day racing, but not any offshore racing, and not really any professional coaching. I mean, I've taken a bunch of ASA classes. I actually today just found out that my US Coast Guard finally captain's passport is coming into the mail. But I've done a lot of classes, but not professional coaching for racing. And I just thought that the whole program was an incredible opportunity for someone who, I wasn't really a keen racer, but, some friends that I know in Los Angeles through Women Sailing Association said, oh, you should really learn how to race because I think you'd like it. Because, I mean, I have an intense personality, even though I don't think of myself as necessarily like super aggressive. But, if you want to make it to the top, you have to have some level of ambition. And so the racing kind of terrified me because it seemed like there was a lot of yelling going on. And I, as a female, just don't like that kind of energy. And, I've been on plenty of boats where it's very masculine, top down, very hierarchical. I've sailed with lots of military guys, engineer guys, and that's not really the kind of thing I want. And so knowing that Marie, who's Los Angeles Yacht Club's first and I think only Black female, a Commodore, and also she's well regarded in California, that she was going to be taking the helm and also leading. The organization is called ORO, Offshore Racing Outreach. When I knew that she was going to be a part of it, I thought, okay, what an amazing opportunity to be mentored by a person of color and mentored by someone with decades long experience and decades of being in a man's world. And in addition to that, the board of directors is highly regarded. And this idea of a program, because when you race at the top level, I never knew this until I did this race, is that these top boats have paid professional sailors who are like professional athletes, just like basketball players and football players. And to get on a boat of this caliber was just an incredible opportunity. So we had some assassins come on board who were just like straight up bow people. That was their main mission, or jib trimmers, spin trimmers, and that was their only job. But, I'm quite the generalist. So because I come from blue water sailing, and when you are double handing to Hawaii, you have to know everything. You have to cook, you have to clean, you have to make sure you know what's going on with the batteries. And what's amazing about this program is we did a lot of prep work before the 11 days at sea. We had months of prep work beforehand. And then the 4 weeks leading up to it, I was there almost every day with a few crew members, including Marie, cleaning the winches. I learned how to plumb a toilet. I put some clutches in. So it's not, the racing part is, of course, learning how to navigate, learning how to trim, learning the sails, all that stuff. But when you're at sea, it's no joke, because things will break, especially when you're going, all out the entire time. So that's the main difference that I learned for me is, even on deliveries, there is a time schedule and you're trying to go fast, but you're usually motor sailing. But with racing, you can't turn on the motor at all except to top up your batteries. And so it was full sails all the time, lots of sail changes, and it's the minutia of racing. And that's kind of how I view the difference between sailing, day sailing, blue water sailing, and then racing is racers who are really at the top of their game will want to change the sails or trim the sails almost every second. And it feels like they have ADD or something, and they're constantly doing something. Whereas, when you're cruising, it's just set it and let it. And what are you doing? Why are you changing things? So that was like a big adjustment for me. And then also just learning the different positions, because, as I said, when I'm cruising, I'm just a generalist, but when you are racing, you have to know the specifics of your assigned task, learning how to trim and learning how to do the spinnaker. And then the runners, I'd never been on a boat with runners. And this particular boat was very customized, which was a whole other world to me. It was already a seasoned boat, but the board of directors and the leadership decided to completely retrofit the whole thing. And so I saw it by happenstance. This is such a miracle, and I really believe in synchronicity. Before I was invited on the team, I saw Marie Rogers in Oakland at Berkeley Yacht Club, rather, and on that same dock, out walks Janine Socrates. And it was just like, oh my God, this is like, she had just finished like around the world, the oldest woman sailing around the world. And then Marie Rogers, who I loosely knew at that time. And she said, oh, you should come. We just bought Good Trouble. We plan to sail it across Hawaii. And I thought, am I going to sail across Hawaii with her? Like, what is the meaning of this? This was like a year ago. And of course, that was like so serendipitous. And it really kind of changed how I view sailing, because here were two women who I greatly admired, just kind of like, here you go. You just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Even when we arrived in Hawaii, it was very extraordinary. We didn't podium, but we were there for all the awards. It was just extraordinary. We had 5 women on the team, and we were a majority of minority sailors. So even in Hawaii, which is Polynesian, and has a history of Polynesian sailors, almost 90% of everyone who participated were white males. And so I want to impress upon you like how important it is for women to get on boats, and for, everybody to help their friends of color get into sailing, but especially at the performance level, because there's just a lot to be done in that particular area. The other thing I wanted to mention is if you don't race, but you want to participate, this is the best part about the Transpac. First of all, this is like a race that's been going on for 100 years. It's so incredible. The Hawaii Yacht Club and the Waikiki Yacht Club put together like literally probably the best party possible in like the history of racing. Usually when we cruise, we arrive, especially if I'm sailing from an island country to another island country, especially in the middle of the night, there's nobody to welcome you. The customs officer, you have to like call them on the VHF. We're here. We've been sailing for 7 days. We need more food. They're like, oh yeah, okay. Well, somebody will get to you tomorrow. And you're like, tomorrow? We're here. We're hungry. We want to get out. No, customs is closed. You have to wait, at least 24 hours. And you're like, what? No, Hawaii Yacht Club, Waikiki Yacht Club. This is the most amazing thing about Transpac. Every boat that participates has an assigned welcome party. So it doesn't matter if you arrive at 2, I'm getting goosebumps just remembering. Doesn't matter if you arrive at 2 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. If you come during the daylight, there's a helicopter and it's very impressive and they're taking all your photos. But if you come in later in the evening, as we did, it was sunset when we came in through the Molokai Channel, and it was pretty dang epic. It was like blowing 30 knots. We were sailing 20 knots, and we were like, is this legal? We are going really fast in like a, kind of a treacherous part of like the zone. But when we arrived, it was so special because there were people from, I also belonged to WSA, and there were people from my club who flew to Hawaii to welcome us. And so when we came in, there was a follow me boat, and we heard Good Trouble, and there was like speakers, music playing, like the whole yacht club was all outside on the patio, and I heard my name, and I thought, who could that be? And it was just kind of like a, like tears came out of my eyes. And then when we actually pulled into the slip, I don't know, like maybe 100 people, friends and family and strangers, came to greet us with pineapple-filled Mai Tais. And then there was a whole tented area with Hawaiian food, poke, kalua pork, chicken salad, pineapples, papayas, everything you could imagine. And that's one way you can get involved, is you can get to the welcome party. And there's so many volunteers that I met. I mean, this is a well-organized, again, 100 years, and it's still going strong. And every yacht club hosts a party for the awards. So we had parties at the Hawaii Yacht Club, Waikiki Yacht Club, and Kaneohe Yacht Club. And what was extraordinary to me is being like a newbie, even though I feel like, oh, I have a lot of miles at sea. It was my first offshore big race. And I feel like it changed how people see me, because it was not only a feather in my cap, but other people view me differently. Even though I've done a lot of ocean miles, doing a Transpac, doing an ocean race, I feel like people look at me differently. It's sort of like the light is a little bit brighter. There's lots of opportunities, but there could be more, right? Because as women sailors, sometimes we're maybe not given priority or we're not given a chance, but you kind of have to, again, I want to like give a shout out to Marie, is she's put this program together, and she's very ambitious in making sure that, that women have a seat and people of color have a seat. I will say that the one thing I think was the most fun is we had a halfway party. What I thought was hilarious is everyone had secret food. And so since we had secret food, we had an awesome halfway party. And there's some videos on the Transpac website of Marie and hula hoop dancing. And that was great because it was 4 days of pretty cold upwind where we were in our Fowlies. And that's usually not how it is. It's usually like 3 days until you get to the high, and then you crack off, and then you're, kind of getting into warm weather. But it was cold until literally the morning of our halfway party. We're like, are we going to be wearing our Fowlies at the halfway party? But the sun came out. It was like clear blue skies, and one of the crew brought champagne and like ice cream or something like that, and she somehow hid it in the forepeak. We were definitely eating peanut butter and jelly and tuna by the end, but that's the other thing that's quite different, is the provisioning, and of course keeping your watch schedules. And so you have to take care of yourself mentally, but you really have to be a team player in these stressful situations. And the more you can think less of yourself and think how you can do for others is really the way to go, because everyone's going to get cranky at some point. Everyone's going to get tired. But, if you make sure the hot water is full and snacks are, re-upped. Here's my team. Yeah, there's Sandy, Rhonda, Ariana, there's Marie, and there's me. And then our coaches. Yeah, there's Colin. That was fantastic, because we actually had a navigator, and then we have an engineer, and we also had a mechanic on board. So we could really just focus on our sailing. Here's me taking a selfie. That was one of the things that was special about this program, is a lot of the prep work beforehand. You'll see in the next slide is the naval architect, Bill Rogers. He really kind of took me under his wings. That's how I learned how to plumb a toilet and do all kinds of things, like learn how to use a drill and all kinds. I didn't know the names of half the tools, but now if someone asks me for Phillips head, flat thread, the Allen wrenches, no, an eighth of an inch, no, you need the 1/16 of an inch, blah, blah, blah. And where's the hose coming in and out? So this guy, I have a lot to thank. And because it was a program, it wasn't just one owner. There was a unique way that Marie organized this, is that there was a lot of opportunity for all the sailors to learn. Whether everyone took advantage of it is a whole other story, but I took advantage of every opportunity to be on that boat beforehand, learn how to do stuff, open the cabinets, open the floorboards, everything. And here we are, helicopters around Catalina Island. That was when we knew, like, okay, last chance, no turning back now. We're definitely going. So I missed this wonderful photo op, but there's my team. 11 days at sea, you get to know people really well. Here's me and Sandy. Sandy was wonderful. She did a week-long medical training for being at sea. So we every boat you're going to have some accidents. We did have an accident, and she was able to utilize some of her knowledge that she gained from her wilderness medical training. And then here we are with the Mai Tais at the end. You're literally so delirious after being at sea for 10, 11 days. And then like literally 100 people come onto the docks and they want to like ply you with Mai Tais, and you're just drunk after 2 sips. But if you want to volunteer, you should go, or just come. The yacht clubs are very welcoming, and it's a great way to network. It's a great way to meet other racers. And it's definitely also very fun to see the other boats. I got to go on Pyewacket. They were in the slip across from us. My parents got to come. They're such big supporters of mine, even though they always tell every captain they ever meet how seasick they were when they first emigrated from Taiwan to Japan. True story. Every captain, every time they send me off or welcome me, they're like, oh, I don't know how Yosh does it. We get seasick every single time. So I'm glad that they came. And then finally, this is at the yacht club. This was so funny because I'm from Taiwan, and these were volunteers at the yacht club. And I said, oh, where are you from? And they said, oh, I'm from Taiwan. And really? Because I never meet people from Taiwan. And every single woman here is from Taiwan or Taiwanese American. And that has never even happened to me in Los Angeles, where you roll up to a yacht club and you see like the Asian mafia. So that was like wonderful for me and wonderful for my parents, because they speak English with an accent, even though we've been here for literally 50 years. So it was like, oh, suddenly they were having the best time ever. Anyway, so that's like my story.
Thank you, Yosh. So thank you very much.
So inspiring. Transpac is a bucket list item for me. That's from Kathleen. A wonderful story from Deb Heisler. And thank you for the information. Another bucket list item. Sounds like we got a lot of ladies who are interested in Transpac. And Linda Newland, who's a veteran, says, great story, Yosh.
A shout out to Marie. Congratulations, and congratulations to the whole crew of Good Trouble.